So my name is Evgeni Fedorovich. I'm professor of meteorology of this school. Mostly I'm teaching classes related to atmospheric dynamics and to boundary layer meteorology, which are areas of my specialization. I do mostly research in boundary layer turbulence, numerical modeling of turbulent flows, and understanding of turbulence physics in atmospheric applications. So with respect to my work with graduate students, I'm trying to pick up people who are interested in broad aspects of meteorology and also in some fundamental aspects which are quite poorly understood. With people from the faculty, I'm mostly collaborating with Alan Shapiro, who is genius of applied mathematics in meteorology and analytical methods in fluid mechanics. So we are working pretty productively. I'm extending into the areas where Alan stops. So he is doing analytical modeling, and then he decides that it would be necessary to extend it numerically, and then I step in and we do some study and write paper together. Also, I'm working with people who are doing boundary layer research in this school, and among them Petra Klein, Phil Chilson, Jeff Bazara. So we are working on different aspects of meteorology, but I'm trying to keep more fundamental direction. And when I'm getting involved in applied studies, my expertise is much less extensive than in studying fundamental aspects of turbulence. So my interest in meteorology, or better say in atmospheric physics, evolved from my original interest in geographical maps and geography in general. Then I developed some interest when I was about 14, 15 years old in meteorological measurements. I even had my own small meteorological station where I performed measurements of some basic atmospheric parameters. But then it was clear that geographical aspects of meteorology were not that interesting in my view to cover the whole span of my interest. So I decided to switch more to physical aspects of meteorology and to study atmospheric physics. This brought me to Faculty of Physics of Leningrad State University in Soviet Union, now it's St. Petersburg, Russia, where I graduated with a degree in atmospheric physics. And the program mostly focused on radiative aspects of atmospheric processes and transport of different substances in the atmosphere, mostly in the higher regions of the atmosphere. So when I started to work on main geophysical observatory in St. Petersburg after my graduation, I switched more to surface layer and boundary layer meteorology, maybe as a contrast to the high elevation physics which I studied before. And my that time advisor attracted my attention to a poorly studied area of boundary layer flows among different types of topography or orography, and so I decided to see what can be done there. And so my PhD was on the topic of understanding the structure of boundary layer flows over gentle topography. Gentle because computers at that time, especially in Soviet Union, were not developed enough to get the three-dimensional flow field, so it was mostly two-dimensional modeling. After I graduated with my PhD, I decided to look in the broader aspects of boundary layer studies, boundary layer physics. And that time I met a person who was very advanced in understanding the basic physics of atmospheric flows of different types of stability. So I did a lot of convective boundary layer studies for a while, which brought me to Germany as a Humboldt Fellow, where I continued the studies in the stratified wind tunnel. So I tried to bring together numerical aspects of studies with experimental research. And the result of these things was developing some collaborations and getting acquainted with what's happening in Oklahoma through the conferences. And there were several people whom I knew in the United States who decided that it would be reasonable for me to apply for position in boundary layer meteorology somewhere in Oklahoma. So I made several attempts, and the second attempt in Oklahoma was successful. I came here when the program was still very, very active in different types of mesoscale and convective modeling, but still Doug Lilly, one of the dinosaurs and at the same time just kind of the most advanced persons in boundary layer meteorology at that time in the United States, was still working and being around. So this was very advantageous for me, and when I came here as a faculty in '99, I was really excited by the move, and I'm still believing that it was the right thing to do, despite some social and geographic peculiarities of Oklahoma, to which I got used pretty fast. Everything was looking pretty acceptable. And I think that nowadays our program is even stronger, at least broader in involvement of different people in different areas. And I'm happy to be here.